Hey guys, so today is day 2, and in the last video I was just kind of talking more about me as a person. I didn't really talk much about, like what my goals are, or anything about, what to expect on the journey, because honestly I believe if you don't weigh out the good and the bad, then kind of when the bad things come, you're kind of just kind of give up, because you're thinking about all these good things that are going to happen, but then when the bad things happen, you can't handle them because you're just thinking about the good. So it's really important that you think about the good and the bad if you want to be able to handle all the things that are going to happen on this journey. So in this video, I'm basically going to talk about the good as well as the bad, as I've seen it on my journey, and then from that, feel free to deduce your own path that you're going to take. It's a good idea to write these things down and not simply think about them. So I wrote them down on a piece of paper, and we're going to talk about it. So first I want to talk about the pros of joining, or the pros of starting on NOFAP. So the first pro is definitely an increase in confidence. I remember when I had started, or when I was on NoFap last year, my freshman year in college, there was someone that I really liked a lot. So for me, since I was pursuing them, I was like going strong on NoFap for like 3-4 weeks, and I remember during that period of time, I was a very confident person. Not only when it came to talking to her via, in person, but just in general, I was more sure about the direction that I was actually going in. So that's a really good thing. Also, you definitely develop like a greater appreciation for people around you, and I think it's kind of like you can better recognize. I don't know how to explain, but you can kind of better recognize like that everyone has a spirit. It's way more easy to recognize everybody, not just as people walking around, but as people who have spirits, and people who have their own experiences. So better respect for other people as well. And then I think the last thing, in terms of benefits that are like direct benefits, would probably just be better awareness of what's going on around you, and not just kind of falling into like this cycle of kind of just searching for the easiest way to like receive dopamine, and yeah, like not just in terms of like PMO, but also like in terms of just always watching television or watching movies, playing video games, or things like that, things that give you like very easy satisfaction. And I think it definitely increases your pain threshold in everyday life circumstances, and your capacity to endure hardship. So those are kind of the benefits as I see them. So now we're going to actually talk about the cons. So as I said in the beginning, it's really important that we understand the pros and the cons, because if you go on the journey thinking it's one or the other, then you're going to be like blown out of proportion and you're going to likely quit. So it's really important that you understand both sides. But when I talk about the cons, I'm going to explain why all these cons, they're really not actually cons, but they're actually pros. So firstly, the first thing is it's going to be difficult, the most obvious one. So if you think about it, the difficulty of this is so much higher than anything else that we actually choose to count the amount of days by which we actually are actually not relapsing. The amount of days that we are continuously growing. So simply by the fact that we do this means there's a great amount of merit to us doing it, right? So simply by the fact that we're doing it, we should be grateful that we're on the journey in the first place, because as we've said in the pros, we're gaining a better sense of awareness. So since we're on the journey, yeah, it's really difficult, but it's definitely worth it. Another thing is, you may not obtain a girlfriend just because you're on NoFap for a long time. Even if women may be more attracted to you, that doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to enter into a relationship. So this is one thing to kind of be aware of, because a lot of people on NoFap, they'll say things like, yeah, you're going to get a girlfriend like super quick, and it's going to be epic. But it doesn't happen that quick necessarily for everybody. But it's kind of just one of those things, like, it just happens in your time. Like, if you're confident enough about yourself sexually, then it can be done. And if you're also managing this habit and you're dominating it, then it can be done. So it's difficult to connect with women, but again, back to the pros, it's worth it in the end. Another thing is, you're gonna definitely feel like you're going against the gradient, because you may see like a kind of like an ad or a commercial about why you shouldn't smoke, or why you should not overindulge when you're drinking, or things like that. But you're not really gonna see any commercial telling you not to watch porn. And that's just mainly because, well, for one thing, people don't have very high morality, but for another thing, it's just very easily marketable. And it's something that can be so powerful because it can apply to everyone, right? Like, no one is like devoid of sexual attraction, right? Like, you can put cigarettes in front of me, I won't necessarily want them or ever smoke them. But pretty much every guy, if you put a woman who's really attractive to that person in front of them, then obviously they're going to be tempted. So going against the gradient, right? So that's the con. So you're going to be kind of swimming upstream. There's going to be a lot of people who are kind of going to laugh at you, and they're going to think like, wow, man, like, this guy, like, is he really serious? Like, he's really trying to fight against his own mind. Because that's something that we're told that we have to do. We have to have sex. But at the end of the day, you can think about all the people who they live like lives where they actually do not have sex and they're happy, right? So that belief that you have to have sex to be happy actually is not true. If you can grasp that, then it'll help you a lot. So in the same way, you should also know you don't have to have a girlfriend to be happy. You don't have to have any kind of sexual encounter to be happy. And I think, honestly, when you come to grips with these things, then you'll actually become a lot more attractive to someone who might actually want to date you. So that's a definitely heads up. So that's pretty much all the stuff I wanted to talk about. But lastly, I guess this is where I talk about my personal life and my own experiences. So for me, so let's see. Yeah, so my freshman year in high school, my, what was it? I'm trying to remember. It was my sophomore year in high school. I really liked this girl, right? And I was dealing with, PMO a lot back then, and I was not really aware. I didn't really have high awareness, and I didn't really have high confidence. I didn't really have any of the things that you have when you join NoFap. And I just really knew that I liked this person. So since I didn't have any goals and ambitions, I would kind of just always be kind of just hanging around her, and I would be her friend, hoping that at some point that she would say like, or that she would maybe make a move, right? Because I didn't really have confidence that I could do these things. And I remember back then I could barely even hold eye contact with her or with anyone. And I'm still like trying to improve that now. I'm not even sure if I'm actually looking at the camera or not. I hope I am. But that's definitely something that like you'll notice will change, is that when you can accomplish something difficult, it builds a certain amount of discipline. So as I continue on this journey, I'm hoping I can far surpass like any kind of minuscule confidence I may have gained, like in my 3 years of trying this, but go like far surpass it and like go to like a whole new level. Not only just for the sake of getting a girlfriend, but for the sake of me being the best person I possibly can, so that I can positively impact someone else's life. Because at the end of the day, that's kind of what it comes down to, is paying it forward. So honestly, my goal is to get through this addiction so that I can help someone else who's in the same boat. So